At the start of the regular season, we narrowed it down that the top teams in the Ontario Hockey League would be the Brantford Bulldogs in the Eastern Conference, and then a battle at the top between Windsor, Kitchener, and maybe the London Knights. But nobody picked the Flint Firebirds to be a contender in the Western Conference, and lo and behold, they're the first team to put together a 10-game winning streak. It's been quite remarkable, the run that the Flint Firebirds are on. At the time of recording, they are third in the Western Conference standings, 2 points back of the Windsor Spitfires for first in the conference, and they have a game in hand. So this Firebirds team firing on all cylinders, so to speak. Their goals for 97, goals against 76. So their offense, it's clicking right now. They have a 20% success rate on the power play and 81.8% on the penalty kill. So specialty teams also getting the job done here. So this is a Flint Firebirds team that I think is surprising many around the Ontario Hockey League, and we'll see if this is, something that we can continue to expect from the Flint Firebirds to be one of the top teams in the West, or do they have a bit of a cooling off period? They did do that trade last week with the North Bay Battalion, bringing in Ignat Pazzi for Caden Petrie. So there were some eyebrows raised during that move, but Pazzi, I think, is going to fit in quite nicely with this team. And after 3 games already with the Firebirds, he's already finding ways to contribute offensively. So wanted to break down this 10-game winning streak because it is quite special what the Flint Firebirds are doing right now. And when you look at who they've been winning against, too, it's not like they're just playing against bottom teams in the overall standings. They've been earning some wins against some of the top teams in the Ontario Hockey League. So the winning streak got underway November 5th. That was up in Sault Ste. Marie. They put off a 6-3 victory to start this winning streak. Then they return home, put up 9 goals against the North Bay Battalion in a 9-3 victory. They then defeated the Guelph Storm on November 8th. That was at the Dort in Flint. That was in a 6-3 final. And then when they took on the London Knights, this is when I think we started to really see that maybe this Flint Firebirds team is real, because they took on the London Knights and they led for most of that game and ended up with a 3-2 victory. So that was 4 wins in a row. Then they were in Brantford, because I remember doing the power rankings, looking ahead at the Flint Firebirds, being like, they have to play London, Brantford, and Owen Sound. 3 very strong teams near the top of the overall standings. So they won in London on November 12th. Then they had to travel to Brantford on November 14th, and they won that game in overtime by a score of 3-2. It's not easy getting 2 points against that Brantford Bulldogs team, but this Firebirds squad found a way, and then they won on home ice against the Owen Sound Attack by a score of 6-2. Then they went on a 3-game road trip, 3 games and 3 nights, which is never easy depending on your opponents. On November 21st, they needed a shootout to defeat the Brampton Steelheads 2-1. Then on November 22nd, they won 4-3 in Guelph. And then they won again against the Owen Sound Attack, this time at the Bayshore by a score of 6-3. And the most recent victory was last night at home against their Michigan rivals, the Saginaw Spirit, and they held on to a 5-4 victory, extending their winning streak to 10 games. So quite remarkable, some of the teams they've had to beat along the way, including London, Brantford, Owen Sound, even the Sioux to start off, as the Greyhounds are one of those teams looking to be a contender in the Western Conference. Now, when you break down the top 10 scorers from this winning streak, Nathan Aspinall, he leads the way. 11 goals, 10 assists, 21 points over this 10-game winning streak. He has been phenomenal for the Flint Firebirds on this run. Jimmy Lombardi, 10 goals, 5 assists, 15 points for second in scoring on this winning streak. Alex Kostov, remember, he had a 4-goal game during this winning streak. 8 goals, 7 assists for 15 points. Urban Podrekar, he's 4th in scoring for the Flint Firebirds during this winning streak. 2 goals, 9 assists, 11 points. Brady Smith, 5th in scoring, a goal, 6 assists for 7 points. He actually had 5 assists in one of those wins during this winning streak. And Brady Smith, of course, being acquired before from the Sioux Greyhounds. Now, I kept Caden Petrie in here. I know he's traded to the North Bay Battalion, but he appeared in 7 games during this winning streak. And in those 7 games, posted 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. So he was contributing when this team was winning. And if you're a Battalion fan, you got to take some comfort knowing that Petrie can score at about a point per game pace. And then 7th in scoring, Rylan Fellinger, a goal, 5 assists, 6 points. Darian Anderson, what a run he's been on over this winning streak. He has 6 assists for 6 points. I was a little surprised by Chris Thibodeau being ninth in scoring, 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points, although he's still being productive. And then 10th in scoring, Luca Graziano, 5 assists over this 10-game winning streak. And to note, Ignapazzi, who they picked up from the North Bay Battalion, 1 assist in 3 games since that trade. So you're seeing it, yes, Aspinall, Lombardi, Kostov leading the way in points over this winning streak, but you are seeing some balance and contributors throughout this lineup. So the depth really coming into play here for the Flint Firebirds, which you need if you want to be one of the contenders in the Ontario Hockey League. Now, when it comes to the goaltenders, Mason Vicari, he gets the bulk of the starts for the Flint Firebirds. 7-0 is his record during this winning streak, a .916 save percentage. So if you can keep that save percentage over 900, you're doing something right. And then Mason Corville, 3-0 on this winning streak, an .896 save percentage, so just below 900. So the goaltending being clutch here as well for the Firebirds. So overall, for Flint, can they keep this up? I'm kind of thinking they can. I do like the pieces that they've put together. Last year was a very underwhelming season for the Flint Firebirds. They had these pieces that you, on paper, look like a team that could challenge for top spot in the West Division, but had that letdown. But now that they've got a season under their belt, under this coaching staff, things have been coming together. The systems are starting to work well. We're seeing Aspinall being a great leader both on and off the ice. So I don't think there's any reason to expect that this Flint Firebirds is suddenly going to have a drop in the standings. Do they win the rest of the games this season? Probably not. They're going to have a few losses along the way. But I think the foundation is there for this Firebirds team to make things very interesting in an already very competitive Western Conference. Now, their next 5 games, because I wanted to look ahead, seeing how much further can this winning streak progress. Well, it's going to be tested on Saturday when they're home to the Sioux Greyhounds. They just did a trade picking up Fitzgerald from the Peterborough Pete, so we'll see what he adds to that lineup. So that's going to be a big test there. And then on Sunday, they visit the Sarnia Sting. It's a division rivalry game, so you can't take that for granted. Sarnia trying to turn their season around, so we'll wait and see what happens there. But then they make the trip through Eastern Ontario. December 4th, they're in Peterborough. December 5th, they're in Kingston. And then December 7th, they're in Ottawa to face the 67s, who've been one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. So could this winning streak reach 15 games? It's going to be tested. That game against Sault Ste. Marie, and I think that game in Ottawa will probably be some pretty big tests. Also, that game in Peterborough. The Petes have been a very good team as well in the Eastern Conference standings. But I feel as though for the Firebirds, they may be for real. This is a team I still haven't seen in person as of yet, just because of the schedule at the Barrie Colts. But from the games that I've been able to watch online, I do like the direction this team is going. So the Flint Firebirds, the first team this year in the Ontario Hockey League to put together a 10-game winning streak, something that the high-flying Brantford Bulldogs have yet to do this season. So I wanted to do a video to specifically focus on the Flint Firebirds. I think it's exciting that Flint is finding their way, and we'll see how much further this can go. So let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on this winning streak, the Flint Firebirds. Do you think it's sustainable, or do you think this team could have a step back now that they've reached this high? Love the interactions. Thank you very much for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we will talk to you again soon.